So I actually want to start off this video by saying everything I'm about to be talking about is going to be linked in the description below so you can read exactly what I am referencing and what I am talking about, because what I am saying has absolutely nothing is being made up. I also want to be completely clear and say the games I am about to reference, except one, I have not played. But the one that I didn't play, I've seen other people playing. So, this is my overall understanding and critique of toxic games and how they've affected everything. Really quick shout out to all the subscribers, the patrons, and the viewers. I couldn't do any of this without you. When I say toxic games, I do in fact mean like toxic games, like World of Warcraft and Genshin Impact. For the record, these are the two examples I'm going to be using. But, and I cannot stress this enough, but the reason why I'm bringing up these two in particular is because Blizzard has been in the media because of all the things they've gotten into, and Genshin Impact has been in everybody's social zeitgeist because it's very new and very well liked. Well, you could use the Final Fantasy game, I could, but these two work best for what I am going to say. The reason why we're going to tackle Blizzard first is because Blizzard is being sued for sexual harassment. Activision Blizzard employees have protested against the company's poor handling of ongoing sexual harassment and allegations. An anonymous Jane Doe has filed yet another lawsuit against the gaming giant for sexual harassment, gender discrimination, and sexual battery, among other complaints. For years, Activision Blizzard's open frat boy environment fostered rampant sexism, harassment, and discrimination, with 700 reported incidents occurring under CEO Robert Kotick's watch. The sexual misconduct was often committed by executives and in the presence of HR. This is a report from the Wall Street Journal that the CEO knew for years about rampant sexual harassment at the company, but failed to act. In this case, the plaintiff alleges that a former production manager, Miguel Vega, sexually harassed her in the workplace for years. She says that he non-consensually groped and tried to kiss her at work, verbally abused her, and insinuated that if she gave in to his sexual advances, she would get a raise. Now, I have to stress this. Toxic and creepy guys being toxic and creepy has been really, really, like, kit and caboodle for a long time. Like, a long, long time. But on August 23rd, 2021, despite Mr. Vega's threats of revenge pornography, this anonymous woman mustered the courage to report his sexual harassment to manager Chris Burns. Mr. Burns relayed her report to HR. Very shortly after, Mr. Vega left a voicemail on her phone in a poor attempt to mitigate the harm he caused. Following up to September 1st of that same year, Activision Blizzard terminated Mr. Vega. Why is this important? It is important because this was brought to the attention of several people in power, and they did nothing about it until it got to a point of literal extreme action. Why did it get to this point? Well, because it went from having to take care of it in-house in the workplace to now all of a sudden the state of California had to sit up in their gamer chair, give them a look, and actively take a step in because of how bad it was getting. But, and this has just happened recently in this year, around February, Activision Blizzard agreed to pay $35 million to resolve claims it lacked an adequate process to assess workplace misconduct complaints. The Secretaries and Exchange Commission announced on Friday following allegations of sexual assault and mistreatment of women at the company in recent years. Which is good, right? They had to pay for their misdeeds. Yoo-hoo! Well, no. They had to pay for what they did, but this does not necessarily mean that they actually, changed their behavior. You can pay money for something you got in trouble for in this day and age. It doesn't mean you've expanded or grown with it. Okay, but isn't that like a good thing that it's been made aware? Yes, and now we are going to fall into this next stage of it. They've gotten in trouble once for it. They've paid to get out of trouble once for it. This means any and all future anything that happens in that company is now going to be watched like a hawk so they don't go through this again. It doesn't necessarily mean that they've gotten rid of it. It just means now they have to be more aware of it. And that means that the people that participated in it might become more, sneaky about what they're doing. Not a bad thing for them. For everybody else, it's horrible. Because it means, oh no, that's really bad and all this other stuff. It is. And the reason why I'm bringing up Blizzard is because Blizzard has made several games that have been really, really well received over the years, like Overwatch and World of Warcraft. For the record, these communities that surrounded these games have become toxic as well, because it usually panders to a male demographic more than it does a female demographic. This doesn't necessarily mean that there are no females playing the game. It just means that if they are usually the silent minority or majority, depending on whichever one you want to look at. Playing these games is because whenever they try to speak out, they get yelled at, they get snapped at. How dare you be in our space? Here's a fun little fact I found out. These Alpha Male Chad wannabes that yell at women for being in their spaces actually are not Alpha Male Chads at all. They're actually not even betas. They fall lower than that. Actual men who are very conscious and comfortable in being men do not view a woman in their space as a negative. Actually, they view it as, oh good, another person to give tips and tricks to because she's here for a reason. The ones that complain and boo-hoo about the females being in their space usually aren't good at the game. Now, I'll completely admit it, right? I played World of Warcraft and I got into it late. I think I played like a weekend of Mist of Pandaria with a friend, and then I fell off that bandwagon hard because, I tried really hard to get into it. I couldn't. But I did play Overwatch for a long time, and I dropped them the second the allegations came out from Blizzard. I refused to give them 1 more cent of my money because I was not okay with what they were doing. Several of my guy friends who also played Overwatch with me did the exact same thing. They dropped the game, uninstalled it from their devices, and never picked it up again because they also were grossed out by it. I had to lose a couple of friends in that instance because those of them that didn't want to get rid of these games stayed with it, indicating that even though they knew what Blizzard was doing, they were completely fine with it. His name, and I will not name him because we don't even talk anymore, said, it's just a game. I can still play the game I like and still not support them. Well, here's the funny thing. You are still supporting them because Overwatch had that whole loot box Armageddon forever ago. So you were still technically supporting Blizzard. People that heard the allegations and were just super over it dropped it fast. Because what Blizzard was doing and might still be doing, even though we, the audience, don't know about it, is really telling. Now, I've heard a lot of people say they have different characters that are favorites in the World of Warcraft, like Grand Mythos. I'm gonna let you know right now, because I only played up to Mist of Pandaria and then dropped it, I had to listen to another friend who also has dropped Blizzard, but she played enough of the game to give me the TLDR of everything that's going on. And she said, point blank to me, her favorite character was Sylvanas. When I asked her why, she goes, because it's such a well-written bad guy, she's a boss. And I was like, oh, cool. So, they made her a bad guy from the word go. And then I was told, no. And I got the whole story about Sylvanas. And listening to it, I was like, oh man, that does sound like a really good character. Really good character. I love the fact they stuck to the fact that after all of this happened to her, she did technically become a villain. It was really nice. It was really well done. I was super excited to know that. Now, and I cannot stress this enough, there are some games that have a toxic player base, but the game itself is not toxic. What I mean by this is, the players of this have absolutely zero chill. They do not know how to chill out, which is fine. But, and I cannot stress this enough, but that makes it really hard for other new players to get in, is because if the older player base, right, the Vanguard player base, is just so cruel and toxic to them, it kind of turns new players off. It's the reason, like, the rule of thumb for anybody that's starting to play a game with you for the first time, they're going to be bad at it because they don't know anything. Because they're bad at it, you do not nitpick and, like, critique them, because it turns them off wanting to play with you. That's it. That's the long and short of it. You want somebody to play a game with you, they're new. So you're going to have to give them a big pass until they can actually wander around and do stuff on their own. I recently on my Twitch have started playing Dead by Daylight with friends. I love playing Dead by Daylight with my friends because I am kind of really bad at the generators you have to fix to play this game. I am aware of that. So when I'm not playing with them and I have free time outside of the Twitch streams that sometimes you can find, assuming they're still up, I have started taking it upon myself to play solo to get better at doing generators, so that way when we are playing, I can now pull my weight more effectively. That's the reason why I started playing solo and not streaming it as much, is because I wanted to be better at it so that way I could help my teammates get good. However, I only had to play Call of Duty I think 2 times, and both times were so horrible I couldn't keep doing it. I just couldn't. I tried to go back, for the record, to World of Warcraft, and it was also a toxic player face on top of having a toxic game. So I really just was not into it. I couldn't be. Because I didn't want to get screamed and yelled at about stuff I absolutely had zero control over. And the reason why I say there can be toxic player bases is because Genshin Impact makes it a point of telling you it's a gacha game. It's completely randomized gacha game, which isn't a bad thing. It just straight up tells you, no. You pay money, a lot of money, to play this game. That's the whole point of gacha games. It's toxic in a way that it comes for your wallet, not so much the base of players. Now, granted, lots of people drop gacha games because they don't want to keep spending oodles and oodles of money to get their one person. I could never get into Genshin Impact for 2 reasons. 1, I'm not really a fan of gacha games. Like, I think I'll play them once or twice and then I drop it. And 2, it's more fun if you can really get into all the character designs. And I really couldn't. It's not that they're not pretty, it's just I couldn't get into Genshin Impact. So, why did I bring it up in conjunction with this toxic gameplay everything? Well, because a Genshin Impact voice actor was actually involved in a scandal. The voice actor, well, I should say the voice actor director, Chris Falia, responded to sexual misconduct scandals regarding his voice actor, Elliot Gindi. Elliot Gindi is the one who is falling underneath these allegations. Genshin Impact is an anime-style open-world action role-playing game, and it isn't immune to sexual misconduct controversies. Besides the technical problems besieging the game, and developers of Genshin Impact also addressing the situation regarding sexual misconduct by one of the game's voice actors, the game itself is pretty okay. I do mean that. It's pretty okay. It's not the worst thing ever in the world, but it's not like the best thing ever in the world either. It's just a game. If it's your jam, you're down for it. If it's not your jam, you kind of just drop it. It's the reason why whenever I've heard so many people say that they just absolutely love this one game, but you shouldn't play this other game because it's so horrible and everything. Is it? Is it really? Or is it just you being nitpicky? I can't be mad about it, right? But I absolutely hate when I hear somebody say, oh, well, I play this incredibly toxic game, and you're playing another game that is not as toxic, but that game is so much worse, so you should drop it because it's bad for you. Okay, can you give me examples of why? Like, receipts, please. Receipts for what it is you're talking about. Again, that's all really anybody really needs to do. If you can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that what you're saying is true, then it shall be so, and people are more likely to believe you. But if your argument is, I said so, believe me for realsies, that's not an argument. That's the logic of like a 7-year-old, because they don't know how to prove their point. I have receipts for everything I'm saying. They're going to be in the description. You can read on your own. So, but Hella, what if you like the toxic game? Okay. like the toxic game then. This is a matter of personal preference. I personally didn't want to keep playing these toxic games. Even though I had a lot of fun with them, they are enabling Activision Blizzard to keep their doors open, and that means if as long as their doors are open, there is a chance that this sexual misconduct could keep happening, even though they've already paid for the lawsuit to be settled. I choose not to play Genshin, because I just don't like its mechanics, I don't like how it looks. The game itself, though, I've never really heard a complaint about. I just have personal reasons for not liking it. That's really all it is. I have an issue with it on a personal level. I am the one that needs to get off my high horse. I have reasons for disliking things. You are not me. So if you like playing the toxic game, just say that. You like playing this game. You don't care if nobody else likes it. You do. And you're fine with it. Oh, but shouldn't we be believing in all the stuff that is being said? Well, no, like I said, receipts are important. Prove it. Show me how we got to where your thought process is. Like, if we're friends and you tell me something off the cuff, chances are, I'm just going to take it as, alright, cool, that was a one-off random thought, and then drop it. But if you keep bringing it up over and over and over again, alright, you have my attention. Explain to me your process. Give me receipts, or point me in the direction to get the receipts if you don't have them immediately on you. That's all really anybody wants at the end of the day. Prove it. Prove it. That's all it comes and boils down to. Are the toxic games bad for people? Again, that's up to you. I know plenty of people that play MMORPGs that literally will carve out time to play the game, because MMORPGs do demand a lot of your time and attention. But it wasn't as bad as when World of Warcraft was like first coming out, where people were literally like starving to death in front of their computers because they just could not get out of playing the game long enough to be even functional human beings. We've moved on past that. People carve out chunks of time to do the raids. They have a good night, then they go back to doing their everyday life thing. It's fun. It's really fun if you let it be fun. But if you let certain media consume you, it's gonna get bad. Like, for your own mental health, it's gonna be bad to have it constantly sit there on your mind and keep bothering you. It's the reason why on this channel, if you've been here long enough, you've noticed we really do not stay on one subject, like one media topic, for too long. Not because I don't want to, but because I just personally don't want to stay on one subject for longer than I need to be. Unless it's like to really deep dive into something, then we're gonna do that. But usually I'm only deep diving and taking off the core themes and characters I need to for whatever I'm watching, and then we're gonna go. It's that simple. And then we're gonna go. That's it. That's the long and short of it. Toxic games are bad. It's up to you whether or not you want to play them. Activision Blizzard paid out a lawsuit. That's good. We'll see where it goes. Genshin Impact comes after your wallet. Actual fanbase? Unclear. Anyway, that's really all I wanted to talk about today, is that there are toxic games out there. Be aware of it. Like, if you don't want to play it, don't play it. If somebody keeps asking you to play it with them, watch them play it for a little bit and then figure out if that's what you want to do. That's all I got. Anyway, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Bye-bye.